That's again, that's just piss poor offense.
You just heard it. Josh Allen saying the offense is, quote, piss poor. Bills fans are rattled. They're sick of Trey White. They're sick of Joe Brady. They're sick of Matt Milano injuries. Stevie Johnson, are you panicked?
I'm not panicked, but I definitely need more from the receivers or that offensive coordinator. Come on, we need to step it up, guys. We need to be better than that.
Understandably so. I mean, I think that last night's game against the Patriots really represented the worst fears of Buffalo Bills fans. Of course, the receivers, the downfield passing game. We'll talk a lot about the secondary, notably the second cornerback spot, but you paid a lot of money to Josh Palmer. Total no-show. Keon Coleman has to be better. The inconsistency week to week is simply unacceptable. And the Buffalo Bills have a lot of soul searching over the next week before their next game.
This is Broken Table. Hein, Stevie, AK, and I feel like we just laid out exactly everything we're going to be talking about because there is a lot going on right now. And honestly, I think we do have to start with the receivers because they just weren't getting open last night. And like Josh said it, piss poor from the offense. You still scored 20 points, had a crucial red zone interception from him, plus a couple of fumbles. But Stevie, when you're watching these receivers, what's the problem? Like, why aren't they getting open?
It's taking too long for the routes to develop and for people to get to their spots. So that's one thing. The second thing is when the ball is in the air, you're not seeing that extracurricular activity to create that separation. You're just seeing receivers trying to play fair, and we need people that's going to get down and dirty and be dogs. And I think they saw that yesterday with Stephon Diggs, and that should be a wake-up call for those boys in the receiver room.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs will look pretty good in the Bills receiver room right now as opposed to the Patriots. He was unbelievable last night. We'll talk a lot about Stephon Diggs, no doubt, but I do think how good James Cook has been all year long. Last night, clearly an off night. Didn't do anything really of significance, but the Buffalo Bills had a ton of opportunity. Josh Allen had a lot of time in the pocket, but the lack of separation that we saw from the Bills receiver group, frankly, was astounding in that there was a lot of time in the pocket, a lot of opportunity to get open, but I couldn't believe when I'm sitting there and watching Allen waiting for someone to get open and just never materialized. I was stunned by that. I couldn't believe it. And kudos to the Patriots. They deserve a lot of credit for stopping the run because I think a lot of those things are intertwined, the run game into the pass game. But at the same time, there was ample opportunity for the Bills receivers. And they didn't do anything.
I kind of agree with you. I think it does start with that run game. And that's the worst we've seen James Cook this year. And it wasn't like they weren't trying to commit to the run. They were trying to get him the ball. It just, he couldn't break that big one. And this team really needs the run to set up the pass. But yeah, man, like it's the same thing. Like receivers just aren't getting open. And yeah, Josh Palmer, you paid a lot of money to that guy.
Ton of money.
Kincaid is awesome. And Kincaid now looks like your main weapon with Shakir, your secondary weapon. But the Pats defense really kind of kept everything in front of them, kept them in check, wasn't giving up any kind of deep ball. And the Bills offense is the worst they looked all year.
Yeah, the worst they looked all year. And that's why I talk about the offensive coordinator. You got to understand, like with Josh getting that much time in the pocket, now when y'all review the film, look back and see what's underneath. With him sitting down and waiting for receivers to get open, look at where they're running to. They're running 4 or 5 yards, 6 yards without even a player near them. You can just get it to them right now. Mm-hmm. Like that's where you evolve the playbook. And that's not always on the players. It's like the coach got to tell the player, hey, you can do this, or that built-in hot route, even if it's not hot and there's nobody there, give us your eyes. Because that's going to help the team get down the field more than just sitting back there and waiting for routes to develop with guys that we're hoping can make separation. So that's my take on that part with the receivers and separation.
Overall, it was just such an uncharacteristic football game from the Buffalo Bills in so many respects. Sloppy, undisciplined, the penalties, the turnovers. They lost the turnover battle for the first time in 26 games, or I guess didn't win the turnover battle. It's that, which is a staggering stat. That was an NFL record. It was a really confusing game, and you got to think about the opponents the Bills played leading into it. What was the record between the three teams leading into last night? Was
I got a great
2
stat
and 12, something like that.
Entering the week, the Bills 4-0 were against teams that were combined 2-14.
2-14.
A 125 winning percentage, which is the 5th worst of all time, which kind of makes you wonder, were we fooled by a garbage schedule?
I don't think so. I think, Stevie, you could speak to this better than I can, but you can only play who you play. And that Saints game was a little concerning. They didn't dominate them like they should have. They dominated the Jets, We remember that in the early part of the season, but I almost feel this was kind of a letdown spot for them because they played a lot of garbage opponents. They played a decent team in the New England Patriots. The game was still there for the Bills, but at the same time, they didn't go out and take it. They kind of gave it away.
Yeah, like my thing is with the Dolphins, that was a healthy team and it's a division matchup. So we know how those go. The Jets was also somewhat close. That's a division matchup. We broke away. Obviously, we're going to be better than the Jets. The Ravens, we knew what they were week 1. So that's, it's kind of, we take what we get, and that schedule was what we got and just play through it. And, division matchups are tough. That's my thing. Division matchups are tough. And that was a healthy Patriot team. And I think they figured out how to win.
Also, too, well coached. Vrabel had a game plan. You're getting the best version of Diggs.
Oh,
you
man.
knew
Did you
Diggs
ever?
was going to want to get out there and kind of show out against his former team. It's just like, I don't know, like I expected more. And Josh Allen was fine. But that interception to me was the big difference. If you're in the red zone there, you lose by 3 at the gun. If you don't turn the ball over there, also too, you look at that Christian Gonzalez play on Shakir on that 3rd down. And Stevie, speak to me if I'm wrong here. Doesn't Shakir need to track back and attack that ball as opposed to just letting that ball come to him and then Christian Gonzalez makes a play on it and then boom, it's 4th down?
Yeah, that could have been a good one for him to come back to. Although like the route is got Shakir moving to the sidelines. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of those bang plays, and if he can get it back, I'm sure he probably would have stopped and went back and attacked that ball as opposed to trying to get more.
We've talked a lot about the Bills receivers or lack thereof, and rightfully so, but that second corner spot is going to be a topic we continue to discuss all the way to the trade deadline. Remember the Rasul Douglas trade? I wonder if that's another move they're looking to make because, man, I don't know what the deal is with Maxwell Hairston. It'd be great if he could come back. Doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon. So if you're running Trey White out there, some other guys, of course, there's some injuries to some of the younger players as well, but Christian Benford could use a 1B to his 1A when it comes to the Bills corner spot right now.
And I might just be late on this, but I'm not ready to throw Trey under the bus like it seems like every Bills fan on Twitter is. Everyone looks to that play with Diggs. When you have that much time in the pocket and Diggs is going to be breaking, it is so hard for a corner to stay with him. And going into the game, the Bills had the number 1 pass defense in the NFL in terms of yards allowed per game. And that comes when you're up on teams. So you're maybe more prone to like give up more pass yards because you're going to play softer.
Well, and we talked about the schedule too.
Yes.
Going up against Spencer Rattler and Justin Fields, probably not necessarily as representative, but I understand where you're coming from.
Drake May played really well.
He was great.
Like even if you have a really good corner there, I still think Drake May is making crazy plays. So in terms of last night, I'm going to still give more credit to the Pats offense, to May and to Diggs specifically. Now, White hasn't been perfect. White's been far from perfect for sure. They need Hairston back.
Yeah.
But I'm just not ready to say that is Trey White's fault because he looked lost on one play where Drake May had tons of time and Diggs is running around in circles.
And I wonder some of the conversations we're having today and Bills Mafia is having today. Should we just be crediting what the New England Patriots were able to do? Drake May, I thought, looked incredible. Maybe the best game of his career. Stephon Diggs. I mean, you could tell from that pregame interview that this guy was dialed in. 10 catches, 146 yards. He was unreal last night for the Pats. But Stevie, are you in the camp that the Bills were the ones who lost the game, or was it the Patriots who went out and won it?
Both. It's both, because the Patriots, obviously, you see them came out. They was focused and locked in, like you said. And then when you talk about did the Bills lose the game? Yeah, they did that also with the early turnovers, losing the turnover margin from a team that's super disciplined. And I think the talk with Trey White, I mean, it's appropriate, and he's an athlete, he's a pro, he needs to hear this stuff. But as far as having the time in the pocket and guarding Stephon Diggs downfield, yeah, that's one thing. But on that last play to Keon Butte, he had his eyes in the flat when he could have just focused on his guy because he had great coverage. He was lined up square with him, balanced, went to the outside, but then he saw that flat and he kept his eyes in there. And then Butte came right down the sideline, and that set up the field goal. So, yeah, I mean, he needs to hear this, and it's gonna make him better.
It's funny how the margins are so thin, and it's just the answer is just always turnovers. You know what I mean? Like if you don't turn the ball over 3 times, specifically that red zone pick, you probably win the game. But we got to talk about the penalties, and it was on both sides. Once again, a Sean Hockley crew comes in. I'm not going to do the blame the rest thing, but the refs ruined a good game by all of those penalties. Stevie, when you're on a field like that and you see Sean Hockley or whoever is making it a ref show and throwing a flag all the time, how disjointed, how hard is it to play in a game like that where you know every other play a flag's coming out?
Man, it's frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I remember when I was with the Bills and we played against the Colts, and it was Stephon Gilmore's rookie year. And it just seemed like every time he touched the guy, he was calling the flag. Ball wasn't even catchable, and you still calling the flag. It's like you giving these guys downs. We don't get mad as players at our teammates. We do look at the refs like, yo, what? Like, come on, yo, let us play ball. Let us compete and be warriors out here. Like, if it's really affecting the play, then yeah, we understand. But like, it was some penalties being called, and I'm glad we don't get fined for it, and we can say that, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. There's nothing worse than a game that is completely ruined. I'm not going to say the game was ruined by penalties, but certainly slowed down. Let the boys play, and I don't know, you're right about Sean Hockley. Come on, brother, let's go.
3-point game that goes down to the wire between two division rivals. And like you, even if you're watching as a neutral, the game could not get into a proper flow because of all of the officiating. But back to the defense, and I'm going to just say this, the defense wasn't even that bad. It was the offense that lost that game to me. Defense had 4 sacks, forced a turnover, gave up 71 rush yards and 3.2 rush yards per carry. Though everyone has been talking about how this team can't stop the run. They stepped up massively, still without Ed Oliver as well, and stopped the run. Now, Matt Milano went down with a pectoral injury. At the time we're taping this, we don't know the details of that. And that's another guy that the fan base is just like losing it on this guy to stay healthy, which I think is super unfair. It's like, come on, this is football. Guys get hurt all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
it sucks that Matt Milano's been dealing with this, and it's been re-aggravation, clearly, of that pec injury he was dealing with before. And maybe the idea would just be to hold him out for a while and get him back to 100%, because this is a guy you have on your roster, and he keeps getting hurt and re-injuring.
He was making plays before he got hurt, though.
No, exactly. And Ed Oliver, when he returns, I think it's going to make a huge difference. But you're so right about the run game. Travion Henderson, Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, those guys were irrelevant. Drake May was the guy who was kind of doing everything, and it was May and Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs was a one-man show yesterday. And to put up 146 yards on 10 catches, I mean, again, coming off that ACL injury last year, his usage has been ramping up. He's starting
to get hot. He had a great week the week before, too.
Back-to-back 100-yard gains for Stephon Diggs. First time for a Patriots receiver since Julian Edelman in 2019, so it's been a while since they've had someone who's capable of doing that. Listen, this is a division I still think the Bills cruise to, but at the same time, New England showed that they're a lot closer to Buffalo than they are to the New York Jets.
I agree, because the Jets are garbage.
The Jets are pathetic.
I think the Pats are a playoff team, but like, I don't know, Pats fans are getting a little too
they are
excited
feeling
over
themselves
this.
right
like,
now.
They're getting a little too on their high horse. Remember what happened when the Pats beat the Bills in that wind game, and it was like Ness in Boston was like, oh, the rain in the division's over, blah blah blah. Like, Patriots fans, calm down, relax. Like, it's the regular season. Don't worry about that. I still think the Bills are fine ultimately, both in the AFC, in their quest for the 1 seed. But, like, credit to the Pats. Good win for the Pats. One positive, Dalton Kincaid is a guy. Woo. And we kind of knew this going in. Dalton Kincaid is the only one who's getting consistent separation that we can count on. You look at him throughout this year, like, I'm glad we finally have that weapon. Stevie, what are you seeing from Kincaid? Like, and did you think that this was possible going into this year?
Yeah, I felt like Kincaid should have been doing this 2 years ago. If the ball was targeted to him a whole lot more situations, even underneath. I'm glad that he's at this level. Now, feed Shakir underneath, get him those quick passes like you said, Julian Edelman, like a Wes Welker type. And that's going to get those Gronkowski's, Dalton Kincaids open. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we love to see out of our tight ends. It's an extension of a running back, that you can use down the field against, DB. So, I mean, I'm glad that he's doing what he's doing. We just got to get the other guys involved now, and not on no fancy stuff like jet sweeps, reverses, all that.
Ooh.
We just need to line up and go dominate.
Oh, you don't like the jet sweep to Dawson Knox? You didn't like that play call from Joe Brady? I mean, what was the idea behind that?
That was just a miscommunication.
Do you think that was the intention?
No, I don't think you're running a jet sweep.
It looked like that was the intention. You just dropped it. I don't know what the hell was going on there.
Yeah.
I'm watching that. I'm sorry. Was that Dawson Knox? Yes, it was indeed. That wasn't.
Well, And
And
it goes back to
speeds.
last week on the fourth down. They ran a jet sweep to Shakir. And I know we talked about it. If one guy makes a block, that's maybe a big play. But
Yes.
I don't love the cuteness like that. It's like when you have a guy like James Cook who's like a beast between the tackles and you have that O-line that can just maul people, just play into your strengths.
I completely agree. I was stunned by that play call. Whatever the intention was, it did not work out well. It was one of 3 crucial turnovers in that game. The Coleman play as well, which not ideal. Certainly the Allen interception. There was a lot of ugly, uncharacteristic plays from the Buffalo Bills last night that, frankly, I'm not sure you're going to see again, especially at home where the Bills have been virtually flawless for years.
Well, before we get into the Atlanta game next week, let's just go back a little bit to Coleman, because Stevie, after week 1 and what we saw against the Ravens, we thought this could be a breakout year and the emergence of that that next great number 1 receiver for the Bills. Like, what's happened since then with Coleman? Like, why? Where's all the production gone? I think is where we should start.
We saw it yesterday. When the ball was in the air, maybe they're looking at him to be the go up and get it type guy, as opposed to in that situation, I was expecting the back shoulder. I thought that was pretty obvious, back shoulder it to him. But I don't know if they're working on that at practice, and that needs to be individual work. Hey, we go if a player is over the top of you or even, and we got the go route, just expect or anticipate back shoulder. That's a simple connection. It's about the development at practice. At the end of the day, we only seeing them. Only guys can get so many balls, I guess, in the offense. When you got a new guy in Josh Palmer and Keon Coleman, you got to get targets to Khalil. But it starts at practice with these situations, because you only go get 1 or 2 of these situations in the game to, make a change or make a difference. And we haven't capitalized on it. And hopefully they can make some change as the season go on.
Okay, let's look ahead to Atlanta, because next game, Bills are Monday night. That spread is 4.5 and feels like it's moving down. I, for one, have already made a large wager on the Bills to win this back
shocking,
for next week. It's gonna be Allen on a fast track in a dome, and I think there's gonna be so much noise this week. And that's typically when we see the best from this team, is when they have something to sort of rally behind. And Atlanta hasn't looked that great to me. Obviously, though, they're coming off a bye, so they're going to be very, very well rested. But I think this is a get-right situation for the offense, and we could see them back to the Bills scoring 35-plus type deal. And then it's just a matter of on the defensive end, if they're able to stop Bijan Robinson. But
for sure. And I mean, Penix is a guy who's been hit and miss really all his career so far in the NFL. He's had good performances and bad performances. But again, we just saw what Stephon Diggs did, and Drake London's a guy who can come out and shred you if you're not better in the secondary. That's a guy I'd be looking out for Buffalo. But again, you're right, Bijan Robinson, if the Bills' run defense can do what they did to New England, to Atlanta, they'll be in very good shape, considering how important Bijan is to that offense.
Yeah, I'm thinking 34-6. They'll get back on track in the dome. Yep, pressure situation. Yeah, they go get back to it. I'm with you guys on that.
See, and then that's the thing. As much as we've been doom and gloom to start this, the team is still 4-1. The AFC East still looks fine. We're gonna get to the Chiefs a little later. In the AFC, the Chiefs are a little scarier now than maybe what they were a couple weeks ago. But and let's just transition right to Baltimore, because they got smacked again. Obviously, no Lamar, but I don't know. Are the Ravens done, Stevie?
Yes, they are. They are. Lamar can't come back. Hamstrings are something that's so aggravating and frustrating. You gotta just rest it and give it time. And every quick twitch that you want to do is going to pull at it. So if Lamar's out, the Ravens are done, and it looks like the Colts and the New England Patriots are running to get that spot from the Texans and the Ravens.
So I find it so interesting that the Ravens are minus 168 on FanDuel to make the postseason. And I believe the stat for 1-4 teams to make the playoffs around 7% in NFL history. So you would think, considering the circumstances, 1-4, but it's only 7% have made it. But you look at the Ravens schedule with or without Lamar Jackson.
And we're both at the same place here. And I think if you want that bet, wait a week. Because
they could lose to the Rams.
Likely no Lamar next week, where they lose to the Rams. And if you're Baltimore, it would make sense to keep him out next week. Then you have the bye right after.
Just punt next week, get Lamar healthy.
But after that, and let's look at the schedule. Bears at home, at the Dolphins, at the Vikings, at the Browns, Jets at home for the Bengals, home for the Steelers, at the Bengals, home for the Pats.
That
at
could
the
be
Packers.
that could be 10 straight wins with a healthy Lamar Jackson. But here's my problem. Even with
They
Lamar,
might beat the Jets.
yeah, they might be the Jets. Yeah, even with Lamar, their defense is their defense is so putrid. It's the worst in the AFC by far. They've given up so many points. Lamar Jackson, Bateman, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, they could put up 35 a game, but they might need to put up 45 a game the way this defense has been playing. It's so bad.
But last year it was bad too, and then it rallied. They might be a little too injured right now to try to do that, which could be an issue, but look at that division. Does Pittsburgh scare you?
I still think Baltimore has a better record than Pittsburgh when it's all said and
Cincy
done.
scare you?
Definitely not. They scare me in the wrong way.
Does Cleveland scare
No,
you? So
definitely
like,
not.
I like Pittsburgh
that for me
defense.
is why
they still hungry. They play.
Sorry, go ahead, Stevie. Go
compete.
ahead.
Nah, Pittsburgh defense compete. I like them. I feel like the Rams are like who are we talking about with you got like the Ravens. They
Yeah,
gotta
but
put up more
the Ravens
points
are
than
playing the
they
Rams
do.
next week, so I think that's another loss for Baltimore.
Yeah.
And then those odds are going to change again, and then you go in and you bet Baltimore to win the division or to make the playoffs.
You might,
call.
or you just bet them to miss the playoffs right now at plus money like Stevie, and you could be reaping the benefits because again, we're assuming a lot happens over the course of that 7-8 game stretch posed by Lamar's healthy, the defense gets healthy, they actually win the football games. Again, the history of 1 and 4 teams, 1 and 5 teams. I don't know how many 1 and 5 teams have made the postseason. I can't imagine it's many. But considering the stretch of games that Baltimore has coming up, if anyone's going to do it with a healthy Lamar, it could be them.
Okay, let's transition to maybe arguably the biggest story of the week, if you want to talk about embarrassing disappointments, and it's that DeMarcado fumble. And Stevie, this is now 2 weeks in a row, and it swung games. The Colts should have won the week before. A.D. Mitchell did the same thing. The Cardinals were about to go up 28-6 when DeMarcado dropped that ball. Stevie Johnson, like, what is going through people's minds when you're running into the end zone that you would ever think I'm just going to drop the ball a yard before I get into the end zone?
Hey, high time. Look, I don't know what's going on, but that's the beauty. NFL, you get an interception or you get a catch and you running downfield, all you thinking about is scoring. You know, you don't even think about anything else, but I'm scoring. What's going to happen after that? But that's the beauty of the NFL. That's why we continue to watch and we continue to put our bets in, man, because anything can happen.
I feel bad for anybody who had the I made some money on DeMarcado yesterday. His line was super low. It was like 31.5 rush and receive. But imagine you had him to score a touchdown. The heartbreak of that, like.
Here would be my policy if I was an NFL head coach, and you saw Jonathan Gannon just tearing into DeMarcado, and rightfully so. You've been playing football a long time. That is unacceptable. I have a personal policy as a coach. You score a touchdown, you have to go and hand the ball to the official in the back of the end zone. There's no other way. That is our new team policy, because if anyone does what Mitchell or DeMarcado does, you're immediately off our football team. We have no interest in keeping you because it is so selfish, so stupid, that it cost 2 teams 2 wins in the National Football League. That is a very, very expensive proposition. It simply cannot happen in professional football.
You're taking the fun out of everything, though. Like, you
The
can't just
fun?
go hand the ball to the ref.
No,
Like,
he's
come on, man.
right.
Let these guys celebrate.
High time,
I'm
he's
all for
right.
it. Yeah.
Hey, AK is
sorry, go
right.
ahead,
Like,
Stevie.
and I love celebrating. I love celebrations, but to let the ball go before you get into the end zone, he's right. That's super selfish. That's overly selfish. You know, that is unexplainable. You got to get those guys off. Keep the guys who celebrating after they get in the end zone, handing the ball to the ref or spiking the ball. That's cool. But before is ridiculous, brother.
You and I
I'm with
do not
AK.
understand the exhilaration of scoring a touchdown, especially on like a 75-yard run or
But
whatever
still, like,
DeMarcado
what
had.
about the history? We saw this goes back to like Deshaun Jackson.
Yes, it
And,
does.
like, come on. It's like I just don't get why you're in such a hurry to get rid of the ball. I would like
hold on to that for dear life
like,
as long as you
just
can.
do that once you see the I don't know what a rule would be, but something. Just get in there and then do it. I don't get it at all.
It's crazy. And I mean, that play obviously was a huge turning point in that game. How about that interception, fumble into a touchdown
was
as
so wild
well
in the
for
game,
Tennessee? Like, I mean, just a crazy series of events in that football game. But I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe we should be embracing the stupidity of certain players because it gives us more content to talk about here on Broken Table.
But look at the Colts now, though, because that's a team that could be arguably fighting for home field. They are fighting for home field in the AFC. I don't think it's going to last, but that could be a massive win that could determine a ton of things with playoff stuff from a week ago. Okay, before we get to tonight's Chiefs game, you were gone last week.
I was.
So you were in Vegas. You happened to go to a Vegas Raiders and a Bears game, and you were given a homework assignment to just bring back your best Vegas story. So we have 3 people here who all love gambling, and I know I love Vegas. Stevie, I don't know about you, but AK, let's hear your best story from your weekend getaway.
All right, so yes, I did go to the Raiders and the Bears. You might recall that as the game where the Raiders had a kick blocked with 30
Cost me
seconds
money.
left.
I know, I had the
Cost
Raiders.
me money too. A large parlay. The Fountain Blue can thank me for my donation. Many donations over the course of the weekend. But
Hold on, Fountain Blue. I didn't realize you're in that level of super elite status.
Yes.
That's a big baller.
I
Yes.
just dropped Stevie Johnson's name and they comped my room immediately. That's how it
big
worked.
money
But
scene.
my buddy, who is not
Hold on. That'll work at the Cambria for Stevie. I don't know about the Fountain Blue.
yeah, you might be right. But my buddy thought it would be a good idea to
Shout out
have
Niagara Falls.
his face painted in Raiders colors, like one of those old school Oakland guys in the end zone,
Yeah.
full face paint. And you could see it up on the screen here, what he decided to paint his face like. But you can imagine the Raiders fans leaving the stadium after a pathetic loss. All the Bears fans who came in from Chicago, the chirps that this guy was enduring on the walk back. You loser. That's what you get, Raiders fans. Like people taking pictures with him as he's in a state of depression following a brutal loss. It was an incredible moment. The walk back to the hotel was a very unpleasant one for my friend Phil. That's what happens when you paint your face. The risks are there on the walk back on the Vegas Strip.
Well, that's the one thing I've always wondered is like the person who does have the elaborate face paint. It's like if you lose, you got to be sad with that face paint on for a
And
while.
if you lose in the most heartbreaking way possible on a missed field goal for the win at home, ooh, man, that was a difficult one to swallow for him.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. All right, you did well with your story. I like that we got the picture to accompany it. Now let's just look ahead to tonight because I might have made the mistake in week 2 to say that the Chiefs are done and they're not making the playoffs. I completely retract that statement. I think the Chiefs are now, like, I don't know, Xavier Worthy being back apparently just changes everything. I am fearful of the Chiefs. I think Mahomes has another big night tonight. Mahomes at MVP right now. Josh is still the favorite, but plus 125, that is a number I do not agree with.
I'm a Baker Mayfield, the way he's playing,
No,
a little
come
bit
on.
richer. 4-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mayfield all over the top 5 in passing yards and passing touchdowns. So here's what I'd say on the Chiefs. I think the love has gone a little bit too much.
Oh, you're going
toward
the other way. You're
Kansas
zagging.
City. And again, I'm known as Mr. Chief on this podcast, but at the same time, they were playing Baltimore. They put up 37. Great for them. I don't know how much that really means. And Xavier Worthy, we know is a little bit banged up. He's got an ankle
Yeah, there's
problem.
an ankle that kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah.
Exactly. Until Rashee Rice comes back and this offense is fully formed, I'm not all the way in on the Chiefs, but you're getting the Jags plus 3.5 at home. I'm intrigued. I am intrigued.
What are you thinking for
I'm
tonight's
gonna
TV?
go with- I'm going with Travis Kelce. Primetime game. I mean, he saw what Dalton Kincaid, Buffalo Bills, he saw what Hunter Henry did with the New England Patriots. I feel like Travis Kelce's going to go on one. So I'm taking the yards on Kelce over me, baby.
Interesting.
Now, Kelsey, though, probably armed with the confidence
Oh, man, no
of
kidding.
this new Taylor Swift song.
Yeah, well, listen, I would be too.
Really singing his praises. So, like,
Either way.
this might be the most confident Travis Kelsey.
On and off the field, Taylor
Yes.
Swift singing the praises of Travis Kelce. I mean, it almost seems like it's a lock that Travis Kelce has a huge game. I am very excited to hear some of the post-game
You use
questions.
huge is an interesting choice of words there
Double
for you.
entendre right there, Chris. Double entendre. But some of the questions that will be headed in Kelsey's direction about some of the lyrics of Taylor Swift's new album. Very intrigued to hear some of his answers.
Well, I don't know. If someone wrote a song like that about me and wanted to ask me about it after, I would have no problem.
Yes.
Ask all the questions you
It's
want.
like confirmed.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
I'll give you all the details you want. Okay, I will go to my best bet. And I have already bet this, and I've bet it a couple ways, but it's Xavier Worthy over yards. I also like his receptions over 4.5. Here's the game log for this year and going back to last year's playoffs. So last week comes back in the lineup. 5 catches on 8 targets, 83 yards. Week 1, he was barely on the field. Only 1 target. We throw that out because of the injury. Before that, Super Bowl, 8 catches, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. AFC Championship against the Bills, 6 receptions, 85 yards and a touchdown. Divisional round, 5 receptions, 45 yards. Going back to last year, I know you were big on betting him throughout these playoffs. They really try to get him involved, and he just seems like he unlocked what that offense can do. So I'm just going to keep betting that until the books adjust and raise those yards up.
He's their best offensive weapon by by a country mile. It's not even close. Say what you will about Juju Smith-Schuster or Tyquan Thornton or Hollywood Brown. Like, it's not Pacheco, Hunt, this Brashard Smith kid who they're trying to work in. They need to be feeding him as many ways as possible. And you hope he's healthy for Kansas City's sake, because if he's not, that offense will look a lot like weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, when it was completely inept. I'm with you. I think if Worthy's in the lineup and he's healthy, that should be an auto bet every single week. For me, I'm playing Patrick Mahomes over 21.5 rushing. The Jags pass rush is vaunted. They can really bring the heat as far as their defensive line goes. I think Mahomes will be on the move quite a bit, and he's been running a lot in this early part of the season as well. It's been a weird set of circumstances where he's producing yardage in very much in line with guys like Pacheco and Hunt. And primetime game, quarterbacks in primetime games seem to run a little bit
Especially
more.
Mahomes
too. He knows when the bright lights are on him. I'm taking Mahomes over rushing.
For the first time ever, Stevie is no longer at the top of the best bet standings. You are still 3-1, but you had your first loss. Chezzy at 1-0, technically on winning percentage goes to the top.
Smart.
But for me and you and Takia, not our best year, but hey,
it's early.
It's
week
early. We
5.
gave you winners last year.
It's early.
So yeah, Stevie, you can play us out on that note.
Hey, yeah, our Buffalo Bills probably didn't get the W, but make sure y'all tap into our best bets, because you can get the real W with that cash on FanDuel. Stay tuned for another episode of Broken Table. See y'all next week. One love and go Bills.